And let's move into this, Jay. Brock Purdy, did he lock up NFL MVP this week? Because I think he did, Jay. I know he talked about Christian McCaffrey's the MVP, probably in real life, but we know that the NFL is a quarterback-driven award, so he's not going to win it. It's going to be a quarterback. Dak didn't do anything. He lost it this weekend. We'll talk about that later. I think Brock Purdy just solidified it. I don't know what the odds are. This team is incredible. I want to talk about Purdy from a dynasty perspective. Where's he at on KTC? And Jay, did I not say, give me my credit, Jay Rich. Did I not say from the summertime on, if he's the starting quarterback, he's a top 12 QB in fantasy football? People thought GQ was batshit crazy. Ray, no way. He's not going to start over Trey Lance. He's a bum, this and that. Jay, if he were the starter, he's a top 12 quarterback. Where's Mr. Purdy on the season, Jay? You think he's top 12? Maybe a little higher than that? Where's Brock Purdy on the season, Jay?
On the season, on ESPN, he is QB5, and on KTC, he is Dynasty quarterback 13. So still some room to go up for old Brock Purdy. But yeah, I mean, trending towards MVP. I believe he's minus 130 to minus 150 or so, depending on the book you're looking at.
And
some people
still
have him around minus
on
115.
To their ridiculous narratives that, he's not that good. He's a game manager. You know how many game managers are in the NFL? Of the starting 32 quarterbacks, probably 30 of them are game managers. There's probably 2 of them that are not. So I don't want to hear this tired, poor excuse to sort of diminish and continue to do this with this kid. I'm going to continue to scream it from the mountaintops. If you've got the Trevor Lawrences, if you've got the Justin Herberts, if you've got these guys, I would tear down in a heartbeat to get Brock Purdy plus. In a heartbeat, and I wouldn't think twice, Jay. I would not think twice, and I am not moving anywhere off of this hill, Jay.
Yeah, and we've talked about this incessantly. So if you've been following the programming, and hopefully you've been listening,
following the program,
I mean, we've been talking about Purdy top 10. Well, I think I even took him over Trevor Lawrence like weeks ago, right? Just talking about what could be for Purdy. Obviously, this season has been absolutely ridiculous on a lot of fronts, but the offense itself has just been great. I think the biggest thing with Purdy is really just, it comes down to is like, people just don't want to believe, right? They just don't want to believe that this kid can go from undrafted to MVP in 2 seasons, basically, because even that alone is like ridiculous to think that he wasn't even the starter coming in last year, and now he's going to be the MVP, basically. And you talked about Baltimore, and if they played Baltimore in the Super Bowl, well, guess what, Ray? Baltimore is heading to San Francisco this week. They're going to be playing on Christmas Day. So it'll be a massive game in San Francisco on Christmas Day between the Baltimore Ravens.
I might have to do a nightcap or wake up. I may. Don't call
so it's a big
me on
game.
This, Jay. I may do a pre-Monday night, Christmas night, wake up. May. We'll see. We'll see. GQ's getting a new cowboy hat for Christmas, so I may bust it out for Christmas Day. So I'm excited for that one, Jay. I did not know they were playing on Monday.
Yeah, Monday Night Football. So that I think would be the day that Purdy does sew it up. He plays the Dolphins and I believe the Steelers to close out the season. But yeah, that big game, top 2 teams in each conference doing battle. If the Niners win that game, which I expect they could, then I think they would win that game. Tough. Right now, the look-ahead line, they're favored by 4.5 points. It is actually swaying Baltimore's direction just a little bit right now on the line. But we're not here to talk about that too much. We're here to talk about Brock Purdy and the Niners. Best team in the NFL, best team in the NFC, no question asked. I think they should be the front runners for the Super Bowl, Ray. Do you think they can actually win it, though? Like, do you think they're going to win it this year, today?
Today, yeah.
Because it's such a difficult say. Like, they can win it for sure.
Here's the thing. They are not invincible and they're not unbeatable. And I talked about this on Friday. I said, you can run on the San Francisco 49ers, and they got, I believe, the most yards against them. I don't know the data, but I heard it on the broadcast that the Arizona Cardinals absolutely dissected them on the ground, right? James Conner and DeMarcado have big games on the ground. I think they went over 230 plus in that game. So you can run on the Niners, and then you can get pressure on Purdy, but can you contain legitimately 4 superstar weapons? And that is just a tall task for any NFL team. I want to get to the comments real quick because John asked a question right here. Tear down from Lamar to Purdy. I did it in one of our Heisman leagues. I teared down off of Lamar Jack. it wasn't Lamar to Purdy. It was Lamar and a bunch of stuff to get Dak and CD. But I did trade. Who did I move off of in order to get Brock Purdy? I did make a tear down, Jay, in there, tear down to acquire Brock Purdy and probably one of our bigger, more sought after to get into Heisman leagues, our 36-team relegation league where you get 12 teams that get put in the relegation pool. Jay Rich is, in fact, relegated. So we'll see you in a couple of years because you will not be in the money. Jay, but the 49ers, just an incredible team, incredible offense from a fantasy perspective, and we will continue to lean on those guys as we move forward in the playoffs. Other side of the ball, Kyler Murray, not a good game for Kyler Murray. And I watched this. What it showed to me is their lack and their glaring need and desire and desperation for a wide receiver. Jay, do you know who their 3 leading pass catchers were? 3 freaking tight ends, Jay Rich. Trey McBride, Elijah Higgins, and Jeff Swaim, who was carted off the field. Those were the 3 leading pass catchers for the Arizona Cardinals. One more time, Jay. Trey McBride, who's a beast. Dynasty tight end 3. Dynasty tight end 3.
Okay, heard it here first.
Trey McBreezy, Trey McBeast, Trey McBride, big dog. Dynasty tight end 3. Trey McBride. The only people I would take over, Sammy Ballgame and TJ Hawkinson. That's it. No Kelsey, no Andrews, no Kincaid, no Ferguson. Trey McBride. Absolute
very close right now.
Monster, Jay. 11 targets, 10 for 102. He goes up on the sideline, catches his ball, and then he does his big Trey McBride gorilla type thing. I love him, baby. I love me some McBride, but yeah, they ain't got nobody else, Jay. Those are the 3 leading pass catchers. They need Marvin Harrison in the worst way. What are your thoughts and feelings on Kyler moving forward? Just after this game, down game, you still feel good about Kyler, or what's the dynasty temperament today?
I mean, Ray, he had 50 rushing yards on the game. Like, we'll take that any day of the week, right? So it really just comes down to can they contend with the 49ers? Not really, but they had a great game. Like, they put up points. They ran the ball effectively on them.
It was competitive.
So they did do some good things. And
it was competitive.
But this is actually something that happens a lot. When the Niners play Arizona, for whatever reason, it's always a game, and that's why a lot of people were betting the spread because it was like 14 points in the direction of San Francisco. Now, I don't believe they covered because it didn't quite stay close enough for that to happen. But when you look at this team, if they did get some pass catchers, obviously if Hollywood Brown was healthy and available, it would be a pretty competent offense. Like Elijah Higgins, yes, he's a tight end, but he played wide receiver at Stanford, and we saw him, and he's pretty good running routes. He's just a little bit too slow to be a wide receiver as a separator in the NFL, but he has ability, and obviously Trey McBride is phenomenal. If they got Marvin Harrison, Hollywood Brown, like, I think Kyler will be fine, and I legitimately do trust what they're doing in Arizona. Obviously, the draft's going to be a big part of that, but what they've done so far in this first year, kind of transitioning away from what they had previously, I think they've done a really good job on offense and on defense. So if both those continue to improve, I think we should believe in Kyler right now. The question really is like, how high would we take him in some of these dynasty drafts? And that's the biggest thing, is right now he's dynasty QB 12, so not terrible, but ahead of him, Dak, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson. I mean, you could take him over those guys if you want, but it does still feel a little risky.
For this question to be asked and answered, Kyler Murray or Brock Purdy? Ring the bell. Tell Ray for this question. Hey, for me, it's Kyler Murray. I would take Kyler Murray over Brock Purdy.
Really?
But it is not as. I think people have got to just get this Brock Purdy thing out of their head. This situation is so conducive of fantasy success. Do you not want this level of efficiency? Jay, he threw the ball 25 times, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, right? And he can move around. He's not a zero on the ground. The ways in which Kyler Murray can score you fantasy points, you've got more ways to skin a cat with Kyler, because when he does have a down passing game, he is capable of giving you 80 and 1 on the ground, which Brock Purdy cannot do. If the offense isn't clicking for whatever that day and he's not matriculating the ball through the air down the field, there's only one way for him to get to the end result, which is cracking our lineup, where Kyler's got a couple of more ways to do it. So for that reason, I would take Kyler Murray over Brock, but I don't think it's that far off. Like, if I'm sitting there and you chose Kyler Murray in front of me, Jay, and I'm stuck with Brock Purdy, I don't know why y'all asked me this. I've been telling y'all this shit since October of 2022, November of last year. I was like, they're not taking this guy off of the field. So He's much better than the community gives him credit for because we like to hang on to tired narratives. Would I rather Kyler over him? Sure. But I also, if I had Kyler Murray, Jay, I'll tell you this. If you were the one that would pay me a plus on top of my, to give me Brock Purdy for my Kyler, I would do that. If you're like, Ray, I want your Kyler, I'll give you Brock Purdy plus, that's a deal that I would take. Like it is very thin. He's incredible, Jay, and we just got to get past this shit, man. And yes, he's got McCaffrey and Debo and all these other guys. You talk about the quarterbacks who don't have, and look how terrible they're playing. You need weapons. Everybody. There are very few true trucks out there that are about to drag whatever dog crap is hanging on the back end of the roster. So this is all I can say is I've told you, I've continued to tell you, and I'm going to continue to tell you, invest and use some Brock Purdy, Jay. I think he will lock up the MVP. Like you said, probably versus on the Christmas day.
Ravens,
if he beats, you win that game against Lamar, who should be right in it as well. You're locked and loaded. You're locked and loaded in there. Let's talk about that game really quickly, Jay. The Sunday night football game, which we thought would be a lot more exciting than it was. Pretty boring game, in
Awful
my opinion.
Game.
It was a boring
Awful
game. I know they were talking about the weather. It didn't seem like it was that impactful, Jay, but it was just a boring-ass game. The Baltimore Ravens got it done in pretty dominating fashion. The Jaguars just shooting themselves in the foot. T-Law dropping the ball out of nowhere, right? It's great, Trevor, and then like, oh my God, he has one of those moments every game, but
Tragic.
he made it through the game unscathed. They couldn't run the ball on Baltimore, which we thought it would be tough. None of the pass catchers did anything. The other side of the ball, the only player that did anything for you if you started him was Isaiah Likely. That was it. Nobody else. Zay Flowers absolutely crapped the bed for you. OBJ, nothing. Rashad Bateman out of nowhere blows up all of my parlays because I had under 2.5 receptions. Somehow he gets the first 2 of the game and ends up with 3. Just Vegas just knows I can't stand him for that. Gus Edwards, who nobody started because we thought it was all Keaton Mitchell. Gus Edwards snaps going down. He had 58 yards and a touchdown. And then L-Jax did have 100 yards on the ground and 171, 1 touchdown, 1 interception through the air. So if you started him, you were pretty good there. What were the big fantasy takeaways from this one, Jay? Besides the fact that Baltimore are now 11-3, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I believe, are tied in record with the Houston Texans at 8-6. Not good for Jacksonville.
And the Titans.
Well, the Titans are eliminated from playoff contention. Titans are officially eliminated. I believe they were eliminated. I believe they were eliminated officially.
No, but they're in a three-way tie right now.
But I think I'm almost positive that Tennessee, based on who they've lost to, they're eliminated from the playoffs. I heard that on the broadcast that they were out. I was very vested in that Houston game because I had a lot of Singletary going. Oh no,
it's the Colts. It's the Colts they're tied with. Sorry,
yeah, I was gonna say I think Tennessee's out. I don't think Tennessee's up there. So it's just tough for Jacksonville. It's a 3-way race for that AFC South. Jay, any big takeaways from this Baltimore-Jacksonville game from you?
I think really it's just the Baltimore defense a little bit. I mean, we already knew they were really strong, but they did show out against a pretty solid opponent. I mean, especially in the first half, you look at the way Jacksonville moved the ball. They had a lot of success, and obviously Trevor Lawrence hit a big bomb to Jamal Agnew, but outside of that, they didn't really move the ball very effectively. Trevor obviously made a few mistakes. I think this is just what you get with Trevor Lawrence. Sometimes he's great, sometimes he's awful. I don't really have a comparison to it, but it's kind of how I think I expected Zach Wilson to play when he came into the NFL, right? Like some phenomenal moments where you're like, oh my God, he's so good. And then some moments where you're like, what the hell is he doing out there? And it's kind of the give and take with T-Law. I don't know what you thought about the Ridley, not a touchdown, sort of a touchdown.
It was a touchdown.
I didn't think it was a touchdown.
I thought it was a TD.
I didn't think it was clear and obvious, but I think that would have saved T-Law's day and probably a lot of people in fantasy football if he did score that touchdown.
I want to hit the chat up for a minute, man. There's some good dialogue. Wake Up Fam doing a good job this morning. I got a couple right here. Permafrost77, shout out to Permafrost, is in there every damn Monday, every Friday. Said, give me Purdy over Kyler all day. I don't disagree. Hefty, he said the same thing. Purdy over Kyler. Purdy gets free CMC points. A lot of people are on that. I don't disagree at all with that one. Jacob said it's about roster construction. I feel if your roster calls for upside games, then Kyler. If you need a consistent QB in your super flex spot, then Purdy. And we keep saying that about him. Yeah, he's consistent, but he's got How many weeks in a row he's had 3+ touchdown passes? Tell me that's not upside.
6 weeks, I'm pretty sure.
How is that
He
not
has
upside?
3+.
Right? It's our antiquated thinking that because he's not this dual threat dynamic runner that he doesn't possess this upside. But when you're going out there and you're giving me 3-4 touchdown passes a week, Jay, I don't know how much more upside you can get than that in the NFL, dude. Like, that is the upside. We've got one
Ray,
right here.
The funny things, so if you want some additional information, right? 3,800 yards, second in passing yards, first in touchdowns, and first in QBR. So, like, you can't pass the ball any better than Brock Purdy is passing the ball.
Do you need him to go?
So you don't. There is no better than
that. And throw for 8-9 touchdowns a game to really prove to me that you're a legitimate quarterback. I mean, he's giving you 3-4 every single week, Jay Rich, and you know what he's not doing? He's not turning the ball over.
Yep.
There's no more upside than that. There's no more upside than that. Gavin said Purdy or Stroud. Jay Rich, Purdy. Here's the thing. Stroud's worth more. Give me more value in CJ Stroud. Give me more value in CJ Stroud. But they're probably going to put up similar points, and you would pay less for Brock Purdy than paying. What did Scott not do on that show? Stroud went top 4 in a startup.
Yeah,
and Brock Purdy was there at the back of the second.
Now.
Back of the second round.
So to be fair to Stroud, right, he's averaging 18.7 points
Stroud's
per game
a beast.
On ESPN scoring, and Birdie's only at 19.7. That doesn't count this week yet, but they're very, very close.
They're close.
You know, I think the thing that people are almost not realizing is they play in the same offense. So if you give them similar weapons, they're probably going to put up similar numbers. And obviously, we do like Stroud a lot. So with, you know, Nico Collins potentially adding weapons and Tank Dell, I think they would be putting up very similar numbers in terms of production.
So,
obviously, the big difference, Christian McCaffrey, right?